Welcome to episode 72 of our ComfyUI tutorial series. Today, I will talk about the Z-Image Turbo model, a fast model that can create realistic images, and it just became my favorite model that I use most of the time now. Besides realism, it can also create all kinds of art styles and illustrations. I will also cover how to use ControlNet to keep things more consistent, and I will show you how I trained a LoRA online so I can have a consistent character. Let's get started. Z-Image Turbo Model, or ZIT as people call it on social media, is a 6 billion parameter model. At the moment of this recording, only the Turbo model is released, but the base and edit models are coming next, so keep an eye on these. I have a few workflows for it that you can get for free from Discord. I am using the BF16 version, but if your video card is not very powerful, you can try the FP8 version. In this workflow, you can have both BF16 and FP8 versions as an all-in-one model. That means the clip and VAE are included in the checkpoint, compared with this one that has them split. I like to use the split version because I learn what a workflow needs, like what clip and VAE to use. But this one produces the same results. The models are just combined into one. The FP8 version is smaller, but not always faster. It depends on your system, and it can have lower quality compared to BF16. Let me explain how to set it up. You have everything you need to run the workflow in this pixaroma note on the left. Download the Z-Image model and place it in the diffusion folder. You can click where it says Here to download the model. Download the text encoder. The Qwen model is like the brain that reads and understands your prompt, so the Z-Image model knows exactly what kind of picture to generate. For the VAE, if you used Flux, you should already have it. On this first workflow, I didn't use extra custom nodes, but I will use them in other workflows later, so always check this note. For the all-in-one model, it is even easier to set up. It only needs one model. If you have 12 GB of VRAM or lower, try the FP8 version, and if you have 16 GB of VRAM or higher, use the BF16 version. And don't forget, this one goes to the checkpoints folder instead of the diffusion models folder. Once it is downloaded, select in this node the models you downloaded. I left the FP8 version as default in this workflow. So let's move to the first workflow and show you what settings I use. In the load clip node, use the Lumina 2 type because it is the format Qwen needs so the Z-Image model can correctly interpret the prompt embeddings. For the prompts, you can use long, detailed prompts like we use for Flux and the Qwen image model. For the model shift, I use 3. You can try to increase it to see if something changes for certain styles. For steps, it depends on the scheduler and samplers. For my tests, there is no point going over 9 steps since it can make the image look worse. I added in this note some settings I tried these days that worked okay for me. Depending on schedulers and samplers, some might be faster than others. For CFG, I use 1 since I do not have a negative prompt, plus it is faster than using a higher CFG. You can try to reduce it and you get a more desaturated look, or increase it and get more saturated colors, but I prefer 1. For sampler and scheduler, it depends on the type of image. Some might be sharper with res, multi-step, and simple, but for me the settings I have now gave me better skin on real people, so I use those more. Let's click Run to test it. The first time is a little slower, but after that it should be faster compared with Flux and other models. And this is the result. If I run again, you can see how much time it takes. Right now, I'm recording, so it takes a little more. Usually it takes 6 to 7 seconds. Let me change the seed to fixed so we can see how the settings affect the result. This is how it looks now, and let me change the size to Full HD. The result looks like this. I notice sometimes if it is over a certain size, it starts to get a more diffuse look, not so sharp. And of course, it takes more time to render. I got okay results using sizes like this, and you can see it is sharp and clear at those sizes, but sometimes for portraits I use Full HD resolution. As soon as I increase it, you can see it still looks good, but a little different, more smooth or diffused. Let's try a size in between. It is kind of similar, maybe it got a little more details. So the size influences the look, and also the sampler and scheduler. If I reduce the CFG value to 0.8, I get a look like this. And if I increase the CFG to 2 or 3, I should get more saturated colors and more contrast like this. But changing those CFG values makes it slower to generate. Let's do some comparison between models. I added on top the workflow for the BF16 Z-Image model. And then on the bottom, I added the same model but the all-in-one version that has the clip and VAE included. For speed, both seem to have similar performance on my PC. Then here I added a positive node where I added the prompt, and a primitive node to add the seed that is fixed so I can test with the same prompt and seed on both models. It is connected to the clip text encoder. Let's run it. I also added a text overlay so you can see better which model generates which image. It is part of the iTools custom node. In this image comparer, we can compare the results. As you can see, there is no difference between the all-in-one model and the one that has split models. I got the same results. I am not sure about speed if you have a different computer configuration. Now let's test the FP8 all-in-one version with the BF16 version that is bigger. For me, I got the same speed for both, even though one is almost half the size. But if you do not have enough VRAM, then definitely the BF16 will be much slower or crash. And let's compare these two. You can see we have a difference now. For the FP8 version, it has some scratches on the head, and BF16 has some bolts, so it seems to do fewer mistakes in this case for BF16. But the FP8 version is not far behind, so basically you can use both. I use BF16 because I have the same speed and maybe I get better quality sometimes. Let's test on a different seed. For this one, both look okay. The FP8 result is more dirty and rough maybe. Let's try with a portrait of an old woman. Again, the results are very similar. So what can I say? Test both a few times, see the speed and quality, and keep your favorite. Let's try another one. One thing I noticed with Z-Image is that if you generate a woman, it tends to make Asian women more often, but you can add nationality and other details to get more variety. Also, the variation is not very big, just like with the Qwen image model. It tends to give similar results, so you need to adjust the prompt more if you want more different results. Moving to the next workflow, here's how I do full HD images that I use for image-to-video models like Kling and Wan. You can see it does not let you put 1080 for the width. The solution is to generate with this size, and then right after VAE decode, add a crop node to crop those extra 8 pixels to get exactly a full HD image. Here is the result with exactly the size I wanted, and the quality looks pretty good. You can reverse the width and height if you want to do portrait full HD, and do the same for the crop node. If we run again now, we get a portrait generation that looks okay. Just like with Qwen, it can take some words in the prompt too literally. For example, I have that fire cracks on the face, so let's check what might cause that. If I look at the prompt, most likely this sentence caused it, so let me delete that one and try again. Now if we look at the face, you can see it fixed that and the face is more clear. So if your generation has mistakes, delete words from the prompt that might cause them. By the way, now if you hover the Run button while it is running, you can view the jobs that are running, and you can also cancel the job. If I run again, it starts a new job, and so on. You can filter and sort them if you want, or you can clear the queue history. You can also use this button to expand or collapse that. And you can click on Show Assets to see the images generated here on the left, and you can close that from here also. The ComfyUI team is working on changing the interface, so now we have Nodes 2, which is still in beta and might have some bugs, so I have it turned off for now until it gets fixed. For example, if I turn on and off the nodes right now, the interface changes each time and the nodes get bigger. It is just something to be aware of. Let's move to the next workflow. Here I tried to generate a 2K image. Since using 2K resolution from the start messes up the image, I used this width and height. Then I used an Upscale image node to make it 2K, and then I ran it through K-Sampler again using these settings. With denoise around 0.3, it keeps it more similar, and you can increase that to get more creative and different results. And this is the result. Now it might not work great for all the images. For some I got good results, for some images not so much, so it is worth a try. You can see it fixed the eyes there, so it can improve some things and mess up some things. Try a few seeds. If I increase denoise to 0.7, for example, I get a more different result. It starts to desaturate the color a little like it usually happens when we generate images too big with the Z-Image model. but sometimes it can work for that cinematic matte look. I used the RG3 node for image compare. Moving to the next one, here I tried to do an upscaler. Even if it maybe does not work as well as the Fluxmania model, sometimes it can improve the image quite nicely and give it more realism. I used an upscale model this time. You can download it from here and place it in the Upscale Models folder. I selected the upscale model in this node so you can try different models. And I have here an image made with Flux. You can see that plastic skin look. If I run the upscaler, the image will be downscaled so the model can work with that size. And then it uses the upscale model to make it double the size. And I use this denoise value since it worked better in this case, but it depends on the image. For the prompt, you can describe the image like portrait of a woman, but many times it works like it is. So I got this image now, and if we compare, you can see it makes it look more real. It can improve some things, but sometimes can add more artifacts, so try different seeds and denoise values until it works. It improved the text and texture quite well. Try it. See if it works for you if you have enough VRAM and if you like the results. Let's move to the next workflow. For this one, I used the Qwen VL node. I talked about how to install this in episode 71, so make sure to check that one. You can see here the prompt is deactivated, and if we go down, we have some nodes. We have a load image node where we upload a reference image, then the Qwen VL model looks at that image and generates a prompt. If I run the workflow, you will see it takes that image and uses a formula, one from these presets here. You can try different ones. It gave me a long, detailed prompt that describes the image. Here it got cut at the end, but it should still work. If you want longer text, increase the max tokens value. And the result we got for this one is this. It depends on the seed and prompt, but usually it does a good job creating something similar, since the Z-Image model cannot see the image, only the text in this case. Let's try it with another image, maybe this cartoon bunny that I made with the Qwen image model. Let's see if Z-Image can reproduce that based only on a prompt, and the result looks quite similar, not bad at all. Let me increase the max token so it gets more text. You can see before it was cut at the end, but now the text prompt is complete, and we got this image, which looks great. Let's try with a chibi girl to see if it can do it, and I got something like this. So it depends on the prompt, seed, and the Z-Image model limitations, since maybe it cannot do all the styles from your image, or the Qwen VL model cannot read the style accurately. But considering we used only a 2B model, I think the results are okay. Let me show you another way to use the Qwen VL model. Instead of using an image to get a prompt, we use a formula to create a long prompt from a simple prompt we give. You can see I added the formula on top and my prompt on the bottom. This is just a concatenate node that combines two strings, so I use it to combine the formula with my prompt so I can easily edit the prompt. So the formula followed by the prompt goes here where the custom formula should be in the Qwen VL node, and it is connected to the text encoder. In the preview, I can see it gave me a long, detailed prompt. It cut it at the end, but you can increase tokens if you want, and I got this result. Let's try something else, maybe a macro photo of a burger next to fries, something with a rustic mood, and we got a long prompt again, and the result is this one. You get much more variation in the prompt since seed variation does not do much. Let's try to do a full HD one, and I will add the crop node so I get exactly the size I want. The result is this one. In this case, it got desaturated because it was too big. So let's try the same ratio but a smaller size. Yes, that looks better now. Size can influence the look. Let's move now to ControlNet. We have this fun ControlNet union model that we need to download from here and place it in the model patches folder. You can find more info about this model here, so make sure you check that if you want to learn more. We use this node to load that ControlNet model. It is part of ComfyUI, so if you get an error when you run it, make sure your ComfyUI is updated. If the update from the manager does not work, use the bat file from the update folder. For example, I can use this illustration and use a canny preprocessor to get a canny map. That map goes to this node, and for strength, 1 is too strong. So try values between 0.6 and 0.8 for better results. Use a prompt to describe what you want to see. And this is the result. and you can see it kept the illustration quite consistent in this case. Using the same workflow but now choosing a depth anything preprocessor, we can get a depth map. You can increase the size here if you want. The result for this one looks like this. Again, pretty consistent. Even if for some seeds it is not perfect, try a few times, it is quite good. For the third workflow with ControlNet, I am using the DW preprocessor. This gives me a pose skeleton. Depending on the seed and pose, it is usually quite similar, but I did not try some complex poses. So the Z-Image model is quite good, I would say. Not perfect, but I like it. I want now to try to train a LoRA on the FAL website. I am not an expert on LoRA training. I can show you what I tried, and maybe that helps you. If you hover on the info icon, you can see you need to use at least 10 images. So I will click on Add Image, and I have prepared here 15 images of this woman with white hair and green eyes. I generated the first image with Z-Image, and then I used NanoBanana to get different angles and variations, so I upload all those images. Then we go down and look at the steps. For me, this was always the tricky part. I will go with the default value of 1000. ChatGPT said it should be okay for 15 images. It will cost me $2.26 to train it for those 1000 steps. Then we need a caption or trigger words. I will write here Pixagirl, but we need a more unique name, so I will replace some of those letters with numbers. For more settings, I am leaving default again for learning rate, and for training type, I assume it is content, so probably for products and people this should work okay. I will try later for style also. So with content selected, I hit the start button and it will be put in the queue and will start training soon. In about 15 to 20 minutes, it completed the training. Now to get the file, I click on Show Files, and here we have the LoRA, so I will click on Download, and now I go to ComfyUI where I have the models, and I am looking for the LoRAs folder. I will also rename the file. I will use the trigger words for the name also, so I do not forget those words, and click Save. Now, back in ComfyUI, I press the R key to refresh and to be able to see the LoRA. In this LoRA loader node, I am searching for the LoRA name, and I am selecting it from the list. Then in the prompt, I make sure to add the trigger words, and then I describe the woman. The first result looks like the woman from training, but it has a different hair color, so let me adjust the prompt and add the hair and eyes there. And the result looks like this one. Now, if I compare with the images from training, it is quite similar, I would say. Let's edit the prompt and make her hold a sign. And we got this image so the woman is consistent. Let's try to make it bigger like Full HD. And again, it seems that it kept the character consistent. Let's change the outfit to see what happens. It still looks okay, maybe the sign could be better. Let's reduce the size and change the outfit and environment. It seems it is quite flexible, so you can try the same settings as me in the LoRA to see if it works okay. It depends on the training images also. Let's change the hair color. That seems to work. Let's see if we can change the art style for it to a pencil drawing, and I got an okay pencil drawing. I expected it to not work, but it still got something decent. Let's try a watercolor painting. Okay, that did not work so well, so the LoRA photorealistic look is too strong, but can we do something about that? Let's see if we add more painting details in the prompt if it helps. It is a little better, but still, it can be better. It looks like a photo with an effect. Let's try to reduce the LoRA strength a little to 0.8 maybe. Okay, that looks much better. So you can play with LoRA strength to adjust the value in some cases to make it work. By the way, I added a link to the LoRA if you want to test it. You can download it from here and place it in the LoRAs folder. I added a note on top also for the trigger words, so they are easy to find. If I bypass the LoRA, you can see how much different it will look without a LoRA. It is a completely new woman, so with LoRA it seems to work to get the character I want. I tried a few more sizes, and for a first try, I am quite happy with the result. You can try it too, maybe you get lucky as me. It is important your images have things in common, and try to use images from the same time period. If you have images over the years, it might get confused and cannot represent it right. For the second LoRA, I wanted to train a style, and I tried to train with 40 images. I tried with both 1000 steps and 2000 steps, and it did not look so good. ChatGPT said that I might have too many variations in style to work okay, with both items and characters looking different. So I gave it another try, and that one seems to work okay. I used 15 images this time, and I only used one type of subject, like only game items. Then for settings, I used 1,500 steps. I used these trigger words because it seems it helped to have those in the name also, same learning rate, and for training type, I have chosen style. Now I am sure you can do training for more style images by adjusting steps and learning rate, but only if you try different settings. I did not want to spend too many dollars, so for me it worked good enough with these settings to be able to use the LoRA even if it is not perfect. If you want to try this LoRA, you can download it from here, and I added the trigger words on top, and I added a prompt here. Now, to see how it affects the image, I will bypass the LoRA, and I will use a fixed seed and run this workflow, and the result looks like this. It has like a 3D look. Now, I bypass again LoRA to enable it, and run again to see the effect of the LoRA, and it looks like this. It has that game digital painting look that I wanted that is popular in many games. Let's try something else, but this time on a white background. You can see it works and looks okay, and if I try without LoRA, it looks like a normal 3D render of that item.
That is all for today. If you found something useful, please leave a like and a comment to help with the algorithm. Check Discord for free workflows and resources. Thank you, legends, and everyone who subscribed to the membership and keeps this channel going. Have a great day.